Hello, this is the Stories Beside channel. I release videos every day for you. Subscribe and click the bell.
Let me go, let me go. Olivia struggled to get out of the hands of the guard who was trying to stop her. Stop! He commanded, spreading his arms wide. The man was afraid of hurting his former mistress. You are forbidden to enter the territory. But the woman, not listening to him, was already running towards the house. She threw the front door open. Edward, listen to me. You have no right to keep me out of the house. My son is here. Why are you here? Edward asked coldly and wanted to slam the door in his ex-wife's face. I think I've explained everything to you. You're wasting your time. The man grinned at Olivia. He was about to pull the door open, but the woman squeezed through at the last second. Edward allowed entry, but would not let her in any further. He played with her like a cat with a mouse, enjoying his own superiority. Give me my son. His voice was breaking. The woman struggled not to cry. I'm not asking you for anything more. You're not asking me for anything. Who the hell are you to make any claims against me? Do you know I could throw you out of here right now? And no one would say a word to me. Why are you doing this to us? Brian's little, he misses me, he needs me. You're wrong. Your son doesn't care about you. He'll never even think about you. He's a smart boy. He knows how to behave. Brian is fine, much better than with a hysterical mother. You're telling me all this on purpose to hurt me now, aren't you? You know how much I love my son, and you won't let me near him. Do you enjoy torturing me? I don't understand what I did to you. What's my fault? Why are you manipulating my son? Give the child away. You don't care about him after all. He needs a mother. He doesn't need a mother like you. What kind of mother? You have nothing to reproach me with. God be with him. Will you get lawyers on me? But where will you get the money for them? He grabbed her by the hair and pulled her closer to him. Olivia grimaced in pain. No lawyer can help you, okay? I can buy all the lawyers in town, and no one's going to tell me what to do. If I said Brian would stay with me, then he will. Get it through your head. I'm taking my son. Fearlessly, looking into her ex-husband's eyes, the woman said, and I will destroy you as you destroyed me. I hate you with every fiber of my being. I have no love left in me for you. You had a chance to settle this peacefully, but you chose a different path, and now there will be no mercy. If you think I'm afraid of your threats, you're wrong. I'm a mother, and I'll fight for my son to the end. Are you threatening me? Edward laughed. You're above that I shook off my shoulder without regret. You won't get anywhere, Brian, my son. If any of your defenders dare to come at me, they'll be sorry. He pushed Olivia away, and she fell to the floor again. Her hands shook treacherously, her heart clenched with fear. The woman didn't know what to expect from Edward. Bob, the man called out. At once a big ample appeared in the living room, a mountain of muscle bubbling under his jacket. Get her out of here and tell the boys not to let her near my house again. If they miss luck today, I'll fire them. Make sure she leaves the house and doesn't find a loophole to come back here. I hope so. Edward cast a last contemptuous glance at his wife. You'll remember today's lesson for a long time. He left, and the big man grabbed Olivia's shoulder, lifted her off the floor, and dragged her out of the house. Let me go. The woman tried to resist. You're hurting me. Listen. The man spoke quietly, right into the ear of the former landlady. Get out of here and don't come back. He'll kill you. You'll never get anywhere. Guys, he added loudly. The landlord ordered this woman to stay away. He pushed her out into the street and slammed the gate shut. Olivia leaned back against it, her legs stiff, her head aching from the blow, her lips swollen. She shakily fixed her hair, shook out her jeans, pulled her blouse off. Torn. She looked regretfully at the ripped buttons. Bastard. I'd only made him more angry, and I didn't even have anyone to turn to. She walked down the street away from the house where she had once been happy. Now he won't give me my son, she said, wrapping her arms around her shoulders. What did I hope for when I went there? All my efforts were in vain. How long have I been trying to get the right to at least see my son, and all in vain? How can I go on living? My poor boy, I miss you very much. God, how could I love that man? He's a real beast. Olivia walked aimlessly down the dark street. Her thoughts were confused. Pain, despair overwhelmed her. She couldn't give up. She talked herself into it. There are no hopeless situations. I just have to think hard. I have to stand up. Brian is waiting for me. I'd do anything for him. Tears filled her eyes as the dusk grew darker and darker. How could I not see him as a monster? She asked herself, did I understand anything? I was young, inexperienced. I lost my head over him. Of course, he was handsome, successful. He was the kind of man every girl dreamed of, and how beautifully he courted me. How tenderly he looked at me. I thought that was it. Now my sufferings were over, and my life began a white streak. I believed that Edward was my destiny. He surrounded me with care and attention, spared me nothing, of course he did. A rich businessman, he could afford absolutely everything. I fell in love with him without a second thought, and I couldn't have done it any other way. He seemed to love me too, and I thought I was in a fairy tale. She grinned bitterly. No wonder. What did I see in my 19 years? No experience, no support. Behind him it seemed I'd be like a stone wall, unwilling to see the obvious. Olivia was flooded with memories. In front of my eyes, as if in reality stood a shabby apartment, a long time ago has not seen repairs and perpetually drunken mother. Well, looking at her daughter with cloudy eyes, Doris asked, what are you staring at? Take it off the table. You see mother is not well. She's grown so healthy. You should help your mother long ago. She wrapped an old, faded robe on her chest and pointed at the table filled with dirty dishes, covered with a tablecloth, in the middle of which was an empty bottle of vodka. Mom, I'm hungry. Olivia looked at her pitifully. I'll be right there. The woman got up from the stool and swaying, went to the cupboard with food. I'll boil some porridge and eat. The neighbor brought cereals, but there's no milk, but there's bread. And you clear the table. You're a big girl, 12 years old soon, and you're no help at all. The girls silently began to wash the dishes. Finally, they sat down at the table. Is that you? Doris asked without looking up at her daughter. Go to the neighbor. Ask him for a hangover. Mommy, Olivia had tears in her eyes. Why don't you do that? Are you trying to contradict your mother? She bailed. Who the hell are you? I feed you, and you don't want to respect your mother? Choking on poorly cooked, sticky porridge, swallowing tears, the girl was silent. Go now. Taking the bowl of porridge from her, Doris ordered. Otherwise I won't feed you. You are of no use, only loss. What are you sitting around for? We took pity on you last time. We didn't punish you. Now you have to answer for your behavior to the fullest. But they really started it first. Olivia repeated stubbornly. Why should I stand by and keep silent if they beat me? Why don't you punish them? I saw you hitting your classmates. Aren't you ashamed? You're ruining my performance. Your name is the only one that comes up in all the meetings. Stop bickering. Come with me now. She dragged a leaning Olivia into the principal's office. Here's Charles. The teacher pushed the girl into the office. Olivia's fighting again. It's a terrible child. I don't know how to talk to her anymore. Come on, Vanessa." Looking affectionately at Olivia, the principal said, "We have to sort things out first." "Olivia?" He turned to the girl. "What happened? Why did you fight?" "They started it first," she muttered. "But you know it's not good to fight, don't you? You're a girl, and girls shouldn't fight. You have to prove your point with words, not fists. It's bad, very bad. Go to class. Class has already started. I hope you'll apologize to your classmates, promise." Olivia was stubbornly silent. See? Vanessa is teary-eyed. She won't even apologize. I'm sure Olivia will realize everything and make up with the girls. Go to class. He quietly nudged her out of the room. "Why are you two getting so upset?" The principal spoke sternly as Olivia walked out. She was standing outside the door, all turned to listen. "You know that the girl is from a dysfunctional family. Her mother drinks. Her father is absent. What do you want? We'll have to put up with her until 9th grade, and then let her go to some school. We can't kick her out of school. She is the daughter of a single mother, and she has excellent grades." The girl clenched her fists tightly. She was hurt and ashamed of her mother, but she knew she would never apologize to the classmates who had insulted her. Olivia's mother died when she was barely 16. She only passed her exams after the 9th grade with flying colors. The woman for some time held on, did not drink. Even at work she was praised, but at her daughter's graduation she could not resist. She drank a shot of vodka and could not stop. The girl came home and found her mother lying on the floor. She called an ambulance, but the doctors could not do anything. The heart of a young, still a woman, exhausted by drinking, could not withstand. "Don't worry." Her grandmother comforted her at the wake. "I will not give you to the orphanage. I will put you on your feet. You only finish school, and then you decide how to go on living." The last 2 school years flew by. Olivia dreamed of going to college. "Where would you go to college?" Grandma said. "Where can I get so much money? My pension is small. I have to live on my own." "Don't take offense at me. I did what I could." "Don't be sorry, granddaughter. Now you'll find your own way in life. I'm no help to you." "I'm not offended, grandmother." The girl hugged the old woman. "You have done a lot for me, and I will try to enter the institute. I have a dream." Olivia said goodbye to her grandmother and went to the institute. She easily passed the exams, but the first year was not easy. Often she had to tighten her belt. She was short of money. "Olivia, why don't your parents help you?" Her friends, with whom she lived in the dormitory in one room, asked her. "I don't have parents." Olivia answered and frowned, not wanting to discuss the subject. "What do you live on?" They didn't stop. "On a survivor's pension and a scholarship." "I hope that I'll pass the session well." "Who would doubt it? You spend all your days and nights at school, no personal life. Why don't you come to the club with us? You'll have some fun. You don't go out at all." "No girls." She firmly rejected all her friends' suggestions. "I have no extra money, and I need to study. I came here to study, not to have fun." The student's persistence paid off. She passed the session with an increased scholarship. "How lucky you are," enviously said the roommates. She passed the exams better than anyone else. What does luck have to do with it? Olivia shrugged her shoulders. "I want to become a lawyer, and not just a lawyer, but the best, and otherwise it's not worth studying." In the second year after the winter session, girlfriends still persuaded the girl to go with them to a nightclub. "Olivia, give up on this study," they said. "The best years are passing by, and you haven't even met a single guy. Why don't you come with us? Let's celebrate the end of the session. How long can you sit behind your books? We can get by without them for one night." "No." The girl took out a book and pretended to be absorbed in reading. "I'm not going. Don't talk me into it." "Olivia?" One of her neighbors came over. "We know why you refuse, because of money, right?" The girl didn't answer anything. She bowed her head even lower to the book. "We chipped in for your ticket. Shall we go? At least for once have a vacation like a human being." I know." Her friend waved her hands at her as soon as Olivia was about to object. "You're proud. You'll give us the money when you become a famous lawyer. Come on, we're offering it to you out of the goodness of our hearts." "All right." The girl made up her mind. "I'll go with you." "Well done." The neighbors rejoiced. "Oh, how we'll have a dance floor tonight." Let the girls hold their dates tighter. The most handsome guys will be ours. The club was crowded. The girlfriends immediately picked up the young men. Olivia felt out of place. She stood on the sidelines, watching the others dance. She was intimidated by the loud music and disgusted by the drunken girls with cigarettes in their teeth. "Do you mind if I keep you company?" Suddenly, the girl heard a velvety man's voice behind her. She looked back and was stunned. In front of her stood a tall, handsome man. The top few buttons of his dark shirt were undone, and Olivia could see his strong, muscular chest. The man ruffled the thick, dark hair on his head with his hand. "So, how's it going?" The stranger looked at her expectantly. "May I join you?" "Please." Olivia shivered. She didn't know how to behave. "Are you here alone?" "No, with my friends. They're dancing, and I'm not very good at it." "Then may I invite you?" The man held out his hand to her as the slow song played. "Together we'll make a beautiful duet." "I can't dance either." The girl smiled and put her slender hand into his broad, strong palm. "Are you studying?" "Somehow I've never seen you here before." "Yes, I am." Her voice was hoarse with excitement. Olivia coughed. "Do you know everyone here?" "I know the ones who come here all the time. I agreed to go with my girlfriends for the first time today. How lucky I am." The stranger smiled. "I had something to do, but I put it off. Probably felt that today I would meet my destiny, and I was not mistaken." Olivia's heart fluttered. "Fool!" She reprimanded herself. "He says those words to every woman he meets, and you hang your ears. Look, he's much older than you, maybe even married, and here from the family rests. He's the one who lures fools like you into his nets." The girl realized with her mind that her new acquaintance, a master of beautiful words, but for some reason I wanted to believe. "What is your name?" The man's voice interrupted the girl's thoughts. "Olivia. My name is Olivia. Nice to meet you." "I'm Edward." The new acquaintance did not leave the girl's side the whole evening. He was strong and confident. "May I buy you a drink?" The man offered. "I don't drink alcohol." "You think this place is all about alcoholic cocktails?" "You're wrong. They make excellent non-alcoholic drinks here." "Don't worry, I'm not going to get you drunk." "Why don't we stop hollering at each other?" He suddenly suggested it. "Let's just go straight to the first name, shall we?" "I agree." Olivia smiled. She felt at ease around Edward. "Olivia, you are very beautiful." The man said, when they were already sitting at the table and drinking cocktails, "You have a special beauty, not flashy, but once one look at your face, one can lose peace forever." "You say that too." Is the girl embarrassed? "I forgot we switched to you, didn't we?" "You're not like the others. So pure, modest. I've never met such a person." "What do you think about if we continue our acquaintance and meet tomorrow at the cafe?" "I want to know more about you." "Oh," the girl was scared. "I guess it won't work. I'm studying at the library tomorrow. I have books on order. Don't you have any rest at all? You're on vacation. Edward was surprised. Can't you spare at least a couple of hours? Don't you ever take a vacation? All right. The girl gave in. Come on, come on. She corrected herself and blushed. I'll meet you. Back in the room, the roommates began to ask Olivia about the new acquaintance. I don't know anything about him. The girl answered. You can see that he is not a major, living on his father's money, a grown-up man. The girls reasoned. Older by 10 years, if not more. Dressed to the hilt, not on the market, a businessman probably. Lucky you, Olivia. Your first outing and such a good one. You've picked up a man. Don't be jealous. Olivia said no. Maybe he won't want to see me again. I don't think I can please such a mature, experienced man. But there was hope in the girl's soul. Like many girls who grew up without a father, she was attracted to older men. If only the young beauty knew that Edward had lost his peace because of her. He barely waited to see her. A man was waiting for her outside the library. As soon as she appeared at the door, he jumped out of the car and ran toward her, carrying a huge bouquet of flowers. Olivia, he called out to the girl. I couldn't bear to meet you here. Edward said, handing Olivia the flowers. She stopped, blushing with pleasure, recognizing him as her new acquaintance. I didn't get a good look at you yesterday. You look even more beautiful in the light of day. Shall we go? He helped the girl into the car. Edward opened the door and gave her his hand. Olivia, not used to male attention, was embarrassed and blushing. Olivia, you are blushing so charmingly. The man smiled, which embarrassed the young beauty even more. This dress suits you very well, he remarked. You dress very modestly, and I like everything about you. You are so fragile that I want to take you in my arms and not let you out of my embrace. He put his hand over her arm carefully, so as not to frighten her. Olivia, I don't know what's happening to me. For the first time in my life, I feel like I can't eat or sleep because I'm thinking about you all the time. You're like a fresh breeze. I started to look at the world in a completely different way. Before it was just living, working, but now my soul is happy every minute because I can think about you, I can see you. Do you like me, even a little bit? I don't know. During this rapturous speech, the girl sat, afraid to move and look at her vis-a-vis. I've never had a boyfriend. I studied hard because I had no one to rely on. But now you have me. Edward declared fervently. Now you don't have to take care of anything. I'll keep you safe and you study. You're in a hurry. Olivia could not believe her happiness. On the one hand, it seemed to her that everything was just a dream. On the other hand, she was so tired of being alone that she wanted to lean on a strong, masculine shoulder. From that day on, their sudden romance began to develop very quickly. Edward is crazy? His friends told him. She's just a girl. You're 13 years older than her. So what? She's so pure, so tender. She makes me feel like a real man. I want to protect her. I'm ready to throw the whole world at her feet. I'm scared at the thought of losing her. Well, friends, I'm ready to marry her. You're out of your mind. You hardly know her. Do you really like her enough to give up your freedom for her? I feel like I've been waiting for her all my life. It's love at first sight. Are you sure she feels the same way about you? If you could see her eyes. Edward smiled. They don't lie. They reflect more than love. They reflect admiration, adoration, and something else beyond comprehension. No, I knew at once that this was my woman, and I would never give her to anyone. 2 months flew by unnoticed over meetings and partings. Edward showered his beloved with flowers and gifts, but Olivia warned the man when he presented her with a gold chain a week later. "I will not accept such an expensive gift," the girl said firmly. "We don't know each other well enough. I do not want to be obliged, so never buy me expensive things. Anyway, I will not take." But I gladly accepted invitations to the theater for exhibitions. She knew tickets weren't cheap, but she thought such a sign of attention wouldn't hurt her reputation. "Olivia?" Edward called her one day. "I want to take you out of town. We'll be the only ones there. I have a hunting lodge in Pine Barrens. I only invite my closest friends there. You could use some fresh air. Shall we go?" "Let's go," Olivia replied enthusiastically. Pine Boar met with silence. "How beautiful it is here." The girl was surprised to see a large house built of round wood. The rooms were cozy. The walls were decorated with wood. In the living room, the wood in the fireplace crackled cheerfully. The flames played on the wooden floor. In the center of the living room, they were met by a set table. "They are waiting for us." Satisfied with the effect, Edward helped his guest to undress. "Come on, I'll show you to your room." Olivia was surprised that in a wooden house, all the furnishings are completely urban. It is a bathroom, bathrobe, towel. There's a TV, internet. Wow, I didn't expect it. The girl ran her hand over the silk coverlet on the bed. "I often have guests," Edward explained, "and I like comfort. Make yourself comfortable. I'll meet you in the living room in half an hour." Olivia changed her clothes and went downstairs. "Come in." Edward helped her sit down at the table, poured wine into a glass, looking solemn. "Olivia, I've already told you that I'm delighted to meet you." The girl smiled, listening to him attentively. "I won't beat around the bush. I invited you here for a reason." "I want to." The man took a velvet box from the shelf by the fireplace. "To ask you to be my wife." Olivia gasped and blushed. "Say, will you marry me?" "If you like me even a little bit. Believe me, I'll do anything to make you say one day, 'I love you.'" "I love you," quietly said the touched girl. "I agreed to be your wife." Foolish creature. Olivia thought to herself as she looked around. It seemed to her that someone was watching her. How did you not notice that your future husband is a bandit? And not just a gangster, but an authority figure, and his successful business was just a cover. What did I know about people back then? She justified herself. Just when I started to learn about life, he became my salvation from loneliness. I idolized him. Where was I to notice his gangster ways if he kept them carefully hidden? I didn't even have any suspicions. And when I finally did, it was too late. The young woman was again immersed in memories. After all, already at the wedding, I girls hinted that my husband is not who he pretends to be, but I did not want to listen to anything. The wedding was celebrated for 3 days. There were more than 100 guests. "Olivia?" The roommates she'd invited to the wedding asked her. "Where are your relatives?" "I don't have any. I have a brother, but he left home when he was 18, and I haven't heard from him in 15 years. You're my family now." She hugged her friends. "I don't even know if he's alive." "Olivia?" Looking suspiciously at the guests, one of her friends whispered, "Don't you think the guests, no offense to me, are a little strange?" "No. They seem normal." The bride shrugged her shoulders. "Why are you panicking?" Another friend got angry. "Rude, of course, that's true, but just normal guys. So these are Edward's army buddies." Olivia laughed. "He has a lot of friends from the military, from the law enforcement agencies, and there you know, people are not distinguished by delicacy. You don't notice anyone but your fiancé." My friend shook her head. "You fell in love with him like a cat, and what kind of person he is, you have no idea." Luggers become so stupid. Yes, she laughed happily. I love Edward very much. Now I can never think about money, never be afraid of tomorrow. He has taken all my worries on his shoulders, and I dream of having a daughter or a son, a little copy of him. I'm sure we'll be the happiest family, and we'll love each other until our last breath. Have you decided where you'll spend your honeymoon? Abroad, Olivia rolled her eyes dreamily. Edward has promised to show me the world, can you imagine? I, who hadn't even been out of the state my whole life, would be traveling on a yacht. Fancy hotels await us, and only the best seats on the airplanes. We even have personal security. It feels like, my friends have noticed, like you're living in a fairy tale. Yes, Edward gave me a fairy tale. I never dreamed of it. I've never seen anything good. An alcoholic mother, debts, the ridicule of my classmates. I think I'm just now starting to really live. And yet, her friends warned her. You should be careful with his friends. Very much they look like gangsters. The girl did not notice anything around except her beloved husband. She was flying in the clouds of happiness, carefree, lightness, enthusiasm. That's what surrounded Olivia. The young traveled a lot around the world, discovering new, beautiful places on the planet. One morning, Olivia woke up, stretched, and went to the kitchen to prepare her husband's breakfast. Suddenly, she felt an attack of nausea and rushed into the bathroom. What's wrong? Edward asked Edward worriedly, seeing his wife hunched over the sink. Are you sick? No, I don't think so. Breathing heavily, the girl answered, Maybe you ate something last night, or your blood pressure's gone up. I think it's nothing, it'll pass. Don't joke with your health. The man pressed her against him, calming her down. Go to the hospital. The same day, she made an appointment with the doctor. After listening to the symptoms, the doctor looked at the patient thoughtfully and announced, It looks like you're pregnant. Pregnant how? Olivia was surprised. It happens. The doctor laughed. You and your husband are sleeping in the same bed, aren't you? She blushed. There you go. The man grunted in satisfaction. It all makes sense to me. Of course, it is necessary to take tests. I'll write out a referral, but this is just to confirm my hunch. After a while, the results came back positive. She's pregnant. Olivia flew home on wings. Edward, she jumped at her husband's neck. We're going to have a baby. Oh, you're my girl. Her husband took her in his arms and kissed her. Am I going to be a father? Yes, my dear. Olivia laughed merrily. We're going to be parents. Thank you. Putting her down on the floor, her husband said seriously, I had given up hope that anyone would ever call me daddy. Since that memorable day, Edward had literally carried her in his arms, showering her with gifts and compliments. He kicked me with his foot. My husband sat at the feet of his beloved, his cheek pressed against her already rounded tummy. What a miracle! I wonder if he knows I'm his daddy. Of course he does. Olivia answered seriously. Talk to him more often. He will respond to you. The young woman was bathed in her husband's attention. It seemed like a long, wide, white Her husband, swaying slightly, smiled contentedly. He looked like a March cat who had just made a stray cat happy. As Olivia walked up close to her husband, she caught a whiff of alcohol and feminine perfume. Are you drunk? The woman asked cautiously. More like a little tipsy. The husband replied, smiling stupidly. His eyes were jumping, which said only one thing. The husband had fallen in love. Who were you with? You stink of another man's woman. That's none of your business. How can you do this to me? Olivia was outraged and go back to the house as if nothing had happened. I can see you were a woman. So what? You have no conscience. What do you lack? I go out of my way to make your home nice and cozy, and you pay me with black ingratitude. You're seeing some girls. I don't want you to bring any disease into the house. We've got a little kid, and you're hanging around with who knows where and with whom. Shut up! Muffled, my husband said, heading for the kitchen. There he took out a bottle of cold water from the refrigerator and began to drink greedily. I'm not going to be silent. With a challenge, replied Olivia, following him. Today you're finally going to listen to me. Do you think I'm going to put up with your shenanigans? Don't think so. If you don't stop, I'll take my son and we'll leave you. I don't want my child to be raised in lies and betrayal. You've destroyed my love for you. You were everything to me. If you don't stop now, I can't vouch for you. Don't shut me up. Let everyone hear what you really are. You're an insolent, unprincipled type. I hate you. Olivia was getting angry. Tears were coming out of her eyes. How could you be so mean to the mother of your child? I said, shut your mouth. Edward thundered. And if I don't, what will you do? At these words, her husband swung around and slapped her. Olivia collapsed to the floor and lost consciousness. She awoke to the first rays of the morning sun. The young woman came to her senses and found herself lying on the kitchen floor. Her head hurt terribly. She felt that her lips were swollen and blood was caked in the corner of her mouth. Olivia remembered everything and cried softly. She got up with difficulty and staggered to the bathroom. Then she went to her son. "Mommy, what's that?" asked 4-year-old Brian, anxiously looking at the bruise on his mother's face. "It was my bad fall." Olivia smiled through her tears. "Don't worry, it will heal soon." The bruise had gone away, but the wound on her heart hadn't healed. Edward pretended that nothing had happened, and Olivia didn't have the energy to argue. One day, she was walking with her son in a park not far from her home when she chatted with an acquaintance. She was met by an angry husband. "Where are you going?" "Don't yell at me." Olivia spoke calmly, even though her heart clenched with fear. She'd never seen her husband like this before. "We went for a walk with Brian and had a little talk with an acquaintance. Don't you dare linger any longer, let alone take my son anywhere. Don't forget, Brian is my son." Edward walked over to his wife, grabbed her and shook her as hard as he could. "If you delay again, you'll be sorry," he said threateningly, his eyes spinning frantically. From then on, her husband began to beat Olivia for the slightest offenses. "Didn't answer the phone on time, got it. Son can't sleep, get it." The woman tried to talk some sense into her husband. "Don't you dare touch me. Even my mother never hit me. If you touch me again, I'll divorce you, take Brian and leave." Edward struck out. She, like a typical doll, flew to the corner of the room and hit her head painfully against the wall. "You." The husband, blushing with anger, leaned over his victim. "You can roll away even now, but you won't get a son. I don't need you. I have an heir, and now I have to raise him into a real man, and you get lost. Besides, you don't have anything of your own here. This," he put his hand around the room, "it's all mine. So I'm not keeping you, get out." "God," thought Olivia, trying to hold back the tears. "How could I tie my life to a monster? I can't stay here. He might kill or maim me one day. My friends were right. He is a beast. I wish I'd known that before. Killing a man is like swatting a mosquito. Yes, we have to run." Olivia decided to bide her time. She secretly took the documents out of the safe, put enough money on her card without her husband noticing, and bought the tickets. On the right day, telling the guards that she was going for a walk, she picked up her son, left the house at a respectable distance, called a cab, and drove to the airport. I grabbed a small bag so as not to attract attention, figuring I'd buy everything I needed when I was safe. He won't come looking for me. She thought as she made her way to her seat. He's bored with me anyway. Let it have his fun with other women. But Edward had very different plans. A week later, the phone rang in the apartment she had rented to hide from her husband. Olivia, unsuspecting, opened the door and froze in horror. "How did you find me?" Frightened, she asked the two thugs who glared at her with a scowl. "It's our job." One of them answered grimly. "Where is the child?" "Why do you want Brian?" The mother asked anxiously. "I'm not giving him to you." She stood in the men's way, blocking the door to the room. But that didn't stop them. They wanted to pull her away, but the woman was ahead of them, took her son in her arms, pressed his chest. He put his arms around her neck and cried out in fear. "Go away, you're scaring him. Have pity on us." Olivia pleaded, hoping to reach the hearts of her husband's guards. "Don't tell Edward you've tracked us down. We have orders to get the boy back." The older man said grimly, "Give him back nicely, or we'll have to use force, and you won't like it." "No," she cried. "Please have mercy. Don't take my son away from me." But the thugs were relentless. The senior easily snatched, screaming with horror of Riep, from the hands of his mother, and headed for the exit, throwing on the way subordinates. "Find the documents on the kid." The boy was sobbing, wriggling, trying to break free, but the guard held him with an iron grip. "Stop!" The woman begged in tears. "Don't touch the child. What kind of people are you? You punish me, do whatever you want, but don't touch my boy." She pounced on the man like a tigress, trying to stop him, beating him with her fists, scratching him, but he calmly left the apartment, carrying the crying Brian under his arm. She was stopped by a second man. "Where's the ID?" He grabbed her by the shoulders, shook her gently to bring her to her senses. She looked up at his tear-stained face and realized that this soulless statue had no heart. There was not a shadow of compassion in his eyes. "Don't make me turn this place upside down," the man said calmly. "Where are they in the bag?" Olivia cried quietly as she watched him rummage through her things. Finally finding what she needed, he shoved the bag into her hands and walked out, closing the door tightly behind him. Olivia sank to the floor and cried out in helplessness. Brian's screaming was in her ears. "Lord, why did you allow this atrocity?" she wailed. "You let me, a fool, get involved with a bandit, and now my son is suffering. My poor boy. How will he be without me in that man's lair? No, I won't leave my boy." The woman wiped her tears, struggled to get up from the floor. Her legs would not hold her. "I will fight. I will return home. I will pray in my feet, only if my husband would give me Brian." She returned to town, checked in with a friend, and learned that Edward had already filed for divorce, and the trial was due in a few days. "He wants to terminate my parental rights." Powerless, she told her friend. "I don't know what to do." "Do what?" "Knock on every door," replied the woman. "You know you can't leave Brian with his father. He'll grow up to be a monster like himself. But I have no proof, you know that. Then get a good lawyer." "I don't have money for a lawyer. Edward's robbed me of everything." Olivia knocked on every door, sounded the alarm. Not child services, not social security. They wouldn't even listen to her. The boy would be better off with his father. They said, "You have nothing, no job, no housing. What are you going to live on? And to bring up a child? My son is entitled to alimony, and I'll start working right away, and I'll be able to provide for my son. I have a good profession. I'm a lawyer. When will you have all this? You haven't worked a day, you won't be hired in any decent law office, and the boy needs to go to kindergarten. He needs to study. If you work, who's gonna look after him? You don't even have any relatives. Without support, Olivia did not give up hope of finding understanding from the court. Tell me, she asked her friend. The court always sides with the mother, doesn't it? He won't leave Brian to his father. On the day of the trial, the woman was very worried. She was alone and had no one to stand up for her. Edward was looking at her with a grin, talking to the lawyer. All rise. The court is in session. The clerk announced. The case is being heard. The judge spoke. For the dissolution of marriage. Plaintiff, you have the floor. What is the reason for the divorce? Honorable court. Edward felt confident. I had to file for divorce because my wife is a drug addict. Olivia was stunned. That's not true. The woman shouted in despair. The court is admonishing you. The clerk stopped her. Next time we'll have to remove you from the courtroom. You see, honorable court, the man gloated at her. She has no self-control at all. I fear for my son's life. I never know what's in her mind. She can't go a day without a dose. I tried to get her into rehab, but she ran away. Look at her. She's crazy. It's scary to leave a child with her. Olivia really didn't look well. The events of the last few days had knocked her out. Dark circles under her eyes from sleepless nights and tears, her pale face, her hair, her hands trembling with fear. Everything created the image of an unhealthy person. After a short break, the court announced the decision. The claims are satisfied, the marriage is dissolved, and Brian's son is to be placed in the custody of his father. What father? The mother shrieked. Edward laughed triumphantly in her face. You can't give your son to him. It's wrong. The child must stay with his mother. In desperation, she rushed to the judge. You're making a mistake. I beg you, listen to me. But the judge quickly disappeared behind the door without even giving the woman a glance. You can appeal within 10 days, the secretary said nonchalantly. In desperation, Olivia went to her husband and demanded her son back. She had hoped that he had some compassion for her, but she was wrong. You will never see your son again, Edward declared. Do you understand? You have no right to forbid me from seeing Brian. I am his mother. I'm my son's guardian now, and you're nobody. I decide who he sees. You have nothing to give him. What can you give him? I won't let my child grow up poor. He should have the best. Get out of my house. I don't want to see you anymore. I'm sick of your tantrums. I'm not going anywhere until I see my son. I have as much right to him as you do. You don't have any rights. Edward laughed. I deprived you of them. You bribed the court? The woman was horrified. I've settled it, and the rest is none of your business. I'll have the case reviewed. I'll tell everyone what a beast you are. Edward swung around and hit his ex-wife in the face. She flew to the corner of the hallway, her head hitting the wall painfully. Don't you dare tell them anything about me. The man brought his face close to her. I'll bury you alive in the woods. Olivia was frightened and couldn't move. Bob, he shouted to the guard, get her out of here. Make sure this woman is never allowed on my property again. He threw her out like a stray dog from his posh mansion, took away everything, deprived her of the hope of ever seeing her son. Olivia wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. She walked slowly to wherever she was going. Why did he do this to me? She whispered. I hate him. God, if you are real, punish Edward for the evil he's done to me and Brian. Isn't there anything you can do about him? Can a mother and son be separated from each other with impunity? Where am I going now? I have no money, no place to live. I don't even know what to do next. Edward rolled over my life and divided it into before and after. I want to lie down and die right here. Let my ex-husband be ashamed of himself for driving me to my death. Olivia walked down the road. No, that's a no-go. He'll even be glad if I die. I won't give him that pleasure. I will fight. I have my boy. For his sake, I have no right to give up. Olivia, busy thinking, didn't notice that a tinted SUV was following her down the dark, deserted street. Finally coming out of her reverie, she sensed she was being followed. The woman stopped abruptly, looked back, the car slowed down, and immediately stopped. She resolutely approached the car in full confidence that it was her husband's guards escorting her, wanting to make sure she had definitely given up trying to get back into the house. What do you want with me? Olivia banged her fist on the glass. The glass slowly traveled downward. The woman was stunned. Her face reflected first consternation, then bewilderment, surprise. You? She exhaled. How did you find me? Get in the car. It's not safe. A voice came from the window. The door opened, and Olivia obediently climbed in and sat down on the seat next to the driver. Robert, still not believing her eyes, the woman said, "My brother, my darling." His eyes filled with tears. The woman grabbed his hand, pressed it to her lips. She gazed into her brother's face and could not look at him. Where did you come from? He put his hand on the back of her head, pulled her toward him, pressed his forehead against hers, just like when she was a child. Let's get home and talk about it. Robert answered. He let her go and started the car. 20 minutes later, they were sitting in the cozy living room of Robert's apartment. Olivia had a mug of hot tea in her hands. The woman couldn't look at her brother. Tell me soon, where are you? How did you find me? I've been trying to find you for almost 15 years. I thought you were dead. I couldn't tell you that our mom was gone. I was at the cemetery. Robert answered briefly. It's just that no one recognized me. Of course, it's been years. How did you recognize me? How did you end up at Edward's house anyway? I haven't let you out of my sight for a day in all these years. But why didn't you contact me? I saw you were doing well, nothing to worry about, and now it was time for me to come to your rescue. I know your husband divorced you. He didn't just divorce me. The woman spoke muffled, her face drooping. He took my son away from me. I know for a fact he doesn't want him. He wanted to punish me. Olivia briefly told her brother everything that had happened to her. I can't believe Edward was able to take away your parental rights so easily. You're not some kind of speechless creature. Why didn't you tell the court about him beating you? He's looking at real time for that. If it was easy, I wouldn't be sitting here crying on your shoulder. He's bought. He's a thug. I know it. But I don't have any proof. I don't have to tell you that money can buy a bald man or intimidate anyone. All right? Robert jumped up and paced the living room. I can accept that Edward managed to bribe the custody and the court, but why didn't you ever record the beatings? It's such a bargaining chip against your ex-husband. He wouldn't have been able to get away with it. The police would have had to make a case against him. You think I didn't see a doctor? Sadly, Olivia grinned. What's the use? I've been to the police and the clinic, and the beatings were recorded, and then all the evidence mysteriously disappeared. And here and there they just throw up their hands. I walked around with broken ribs and bruises on half my face, and the doctor looked at me with honest eyes and said, "How do I know who broke your ribs? Maybe you fell yourself, and now you're blaming a good man?" I knocked on closed doors. Nobody cared about me. It's like there are no decent people left, only corrupt and inhuman officials. I'm sorry, But your whole story sounds like bullshit. You're not registered at a mental institution by any chance. How could I not? He put me down as a drug addict. I'm also registered with a narcologist, even though they didn't even take a test to put me there. You have no idea how much paperwork I had to do to get Brian to stay with me. And what do you think? The guardianship office told me in no uncertain terms that I could put these papers on the bathroom wall and they wouldn't let them go through. They didn't even make a big deal about Edward paying them. So what are you going to do? What can I do? Olivia shrugged. You're not going to give up, are you? We have to come up with a plan to get Brian. Robert, I'm begging you, stay out of this. You have no idea what a scary man Edward is. An acquaintance who helped me escape then went missing. Another man who counseled me before the trial had his car burned. I don't want to lose you. Edward, enjoying complete impunity, is afraid of nothing and no one. Well, if we can't get my nephew back legally, we'll use their methods. What are you up to? The woman asked fearfully. Let's do it this way. Robert looked at his watch. It's already a long time, and I have to work tomorrow. So I need to get some sleep. You stay at my place. There's nowhere to go anyway. We'll decide in the morning. Tomorrow we'll decide what we're going to do. At breakfast, Robert said, I'll go to the police station. There's a man who owes me a favor. I'll make some inquiries about your ex-husband. I can't believe you can't find a weak spot to nail him on. How can he help us? Olivia perked up. She hadn't slept well the night before, with thoughts of Edward, her son, and the sudden appearance of her brother. No offense, but I still don't believe your story. I need proof. If you went to the police, we'll know about it. Then it'll be bad news for the man who got the battery case dismissed. We'll try to pull that thread. The woman spent the day alone. Her nerves were frayed. She cleaned the apartment, cooked lunch and dinner, trying to keep herself busy. There was nothing worse, waiting and catching up. She repeated from time to time, flinching at every rustle. Finally, the lock on the door clicked. Robert? Olivia hurried to meet her brother. I'm exhausted. What took you so long? Did you find out anything? Did you find any proof that what I said was true? She literally bombarded her brother with questions. Wait, Robert smiled. Let me at least take my clothes off. We're not going to talk in the hallway, are we? I'm sorry. The woman was embarrassed. You're tired. Come in. I've got dinner ready. Robert had a little snack, and then, not to bore his sister, who was sitting like on pins and needles from excitement, he spoke. Well, sister, your case is not so hopeless. I managed to find out that your ex-husband has a criminal case. Turns out, 2 weeks before you ran away, Edward bought a house for a lot of money. Now the question is, where did he get that kind of money? I thought he had some kind of business. Olivia answered confused. He makes good money. But I don't know what kind of business. We've never discussed it. Here we come to the main thing. Robert looked at his sister triumphantly. His business was just a front that allowed him to do all sorts of dirty deeds. Edward had never been afraid of anything, knew he could always get away with it. And if he had to, he'd get his thugs on someone, and they'd use force to solve any situation. I realized too late who my husband was. Bitterly, Olivia confessed. We already had Brian. Where was I supposed to go? I don't blame you for anything. Calm down, sis. Robert smiled encouragingly. Olivia had already found a job, and she was ashamed to be on her brother's back. One night the phone rang. It was strange. Olivia tensed. The number was unfamiliar. Take it. Her brother advised her. What if it's an important call? Olivia, hello? It's Michael. A woman heard it. Michael? Olivia asked fearfully. I don't know any Michael. I'm with Edward, the security guard. Do you remember me? Yes, I do. The image of a big ombel appeared before her eyes. What do you want from me? Did Edward send you? We need to talk. The man answered briefly. Can you meet me? It's very important and urgent. I don't have much time. Who is it? The brother asked with one eye. The guard Edward. He is asking for a meeting. Olivia answered Robert's mute question with her hand on the receiver. Say yes, whispered the brother. We need to find out what he wants from you. All right, let's meet. Olivia gave the address of a cafe away from her brother's house, just in case. Did he say what the conversation would be about? Robert asked. No, he didn't say anything at all. I have no idea what he wants. This is the most loyal assistant of the ex-husband. If you're afraid, I can come with you? No, don't. He might get scared and not say anything if he sees you following him. I don't think he's planning something against me. Why call, make an appointment, when you can be followed in the street? Staying home, I'll go alone. And Michael glanced quickly at Olivia, said nothing, and continued. She was accidentally discovered by a passing driver. She was lying on the curb in the rain, bloody and unconscious. Michael gritted his teeth. The girl had survived, but was disabled. She's bedridden. That's my sister, my Mary. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Olivia looked sympathetically at the man. What about Edward? Was he found? Did he help the girl, track her down, pay for her treatment? Did he? Michael hesitated, glanced at her again quickly, tried to clean up his tracks, sent the car in question straight to the wrecking yard, and no evidence. There were no witnesses to the hit and run. Mary doesn't remember anything. The police refused to even file a case. If a miracle happened and someone took over the investigation, just for show, they wouldn't go into detail. Lawyers' fees, the police are all paid for years in advance, a fact Edward didn't even hide. Wait, Olivia was stunned. So you didn't even file a report? What's the point? No one saw the car, no one saw the accident, and if anyone did, they'll keep quiet. You know as well as I do what Edward does to witnesses. How did you know it was Edward who did this to your sister and not someone else? I didn't realize it right away, of course. I first got suspicious when I saw the commemorative car, and I compared some facts myself, and I questioned Mary. And then Edward spoke up, bragging that no one would ever know how he'd hit the girl. I mean, fools walk around, and then you have to answer for them. Michael was silent, drawing inconceivable patterns on the table with a teaspoon. Can you imagine? The man spoke softly. He had left Mary to die on the side of the road like a stray dog. Didn't see fit to stop and at least see if she was alive. Olivia's heart was bleeding, seeing how hard it was for him to remember. I made up my mind a long time ago. He looked straight into Olivia's eyes. I could have dealt with Edward right away. He doesn't even know Mary is my sister. I'm not afraid of prison, but he stopped. Mary has no one but me. Her parents are long dead. Who's going to look after her? You know what I mean? I do. I'm sorry about your sister. If there's anything I can do to help her, I can't go through the paperwork myself. Michael interrupted the woman. Edward's arms are too long. I'm not afraid for myself. But Mary, what about you? I'm sure you can handle the information properly. What if my husband finds out it was you who gave me the documents? Will he never think of me for who I am? He grinned. A speechless, dumb bastard who only knows how to swing his fists and turn a steering wheel. If you don't tell him, Edward won't know, will he? The man stared at Olivia. He won't find out from me, she assured him. You don't have to worry. Okay. Michael stood up resolutely from the table. I gotta go. Remember, you and I have never met. If anything goes wrong, I won't even admit under penalty of death that I gave you the documents. My sister's life is the most important thing to me. You bet I won't tell anyone who I got the documents from. Michael stood there for a while, as if still doubting that he had done the right thing. Then he walked resolutely out of the cafe. Olivia saw him get into his car and drive away. Thank you, kind man, she whispered after him. You're saving not only your sister, but also my child. She sat at the table for a while, finished her long cold coffee, and then went home. Hurry up and tell me. Robert hurried her when she entered the apartment. How did it go? What did he want from you? Here. Olivia solemnly placed a black folder on the table. It's some papers Michael said would help me get my son back. Give it to me. The brother took a quick look at the documents. With each passing minute, the sinister smile on his face grew wider and wider. That's it. The cage is shut. The bird is caught. These papers are worthless. He hugged his sister, whirled her around the room. Now your ex-husband will go to jail for a long time. Don't doubt it. We'll nail him to the fullest. Even money won't help him get away with it. And what of the documents? Olivia asked impatiently. What's in them? Remember, I told you about the scheme by which Edward defrauded the depositors, declaring himself bankrupt. Then the investigation had a weak evidence base. He received only a suspended sentence. Top defense lawyers did their best. So now we have ironclad proof of his guilt. Not even the fact that he is the guardian of a minor child can save him. There's no way he's going to get away with this. Robert smiled wickedly. I'll do my best to make sure he does, and he'll go to prison for a long time. Edward, of course, will try again to pressure someone, pay someone, even intimidate someone. You and I know about all his methods, his persuasion, but I don't think the patrons will back him this time. No reason for them to risk their heads and their reputations, so it looks like he's done for. Hang in there, sister. It won't be long before we can savor the victory. And Brian will come back to me. Olivia was worried. Don't doubt it. Those who took him from you must be punished. Oh my God! I clasped my hands together. How I long to hold my boy. I miss him so much. He's all alone. I can imagine what he's been through. I'll have to be patient, of course, but in such a delicate matter, there's no rush. We must think it over, calculate everything, so that Edward and his assistants could not find a single loophole. We will not give them the opportunity to turn around and get away with it again. The very next day, the documents were on the desk of the investigative committee of the prosecutor's office. Everything turned out as Robert had envisioned. Strong patrons turned away from Edward. Even money was powerless before the undeniable facts. A few months later, there was a tumultuous trial. A guilty verdict. The judge read out the verdict and imposed a sentence of imprisonment with confiscation of property in favor of defrauded depositors. Edward didn't believe until the last minute that he'd get a real sentence. As if in a fog, he listened to the verdict. The defendant is to be taken into custody in the courtroom. No, the convict screamed, I can't go to prison. You don't understand. You don't know who I am? I'm all of you here. Didn't I pay you all enough? He looked wildly at the judge, at the hall where the witnesses in the case were sitting, trying not to meet his gaze. His recent associates, who by sheer luck had escaped punishment. I'm gonna find out who leaked me. I'm gonna go back and kill every traitor. You think I can't get you? You don't know me very well. You bastards. The convoy handcuffed him, passing Olivia, who was attending the trial. Edward stopped and hissed angrily. Are you triumphant? I will come out and destroy you, you creature. I'm not afraid of you." Calmly, looking him straight in the eye, the woman replied, "And from the looks of it, you won't be coming out anytime soon." Edward was led out of the hall, shouting, swearing, sending curses, but no one listened to him. A lot had changed in Olivia's life. Her brother helped her hire a lawyer, and he got the divorce case reviewed. The woman not only got her son back, but also some of her property. It was a domino effect. It was like the investigators were just waiting for the right moment. They began to consider a chain of criminal cases involving Edward. In the evening, sitting in the living room of her own apartment, the woman held her son close to her, as if she was afraid of losing him again, and talked to her brother. "Robert, how happy I am that you have found yourself. Now I know for sure that I am not alone. You and Brian, my family." She looked at him affectionately. "Thank you so much for everything you have done for us. Without you, there is no way I could have handled Edward. Don't say that in front of your son." Her brother reprimanded her. "You're strong, I know. You would have fought to the end on your own. I still don't understand how I could have loved him. I didn't just love him, I was sick of him, and then I didn't notice how I became a hostage to that love. I wanted so much to be happy. Olivia, it's not your fault, and don't bring up Edward. All the bad stuff is over. Brian is by your side, and your ex-husband is where he belongs. He can't hurt you anymore. You're young, you're beautiful, you're gonna be happy. You're right, we're in for good times. I have nothing to fear now. Think about the future. You've got a son to worry about. Forget the past. No, Robert, there's something else I have to do, and I need your help again." "What is it?" "I need you to help me find a very good person. It's a girl, her name is Mary. I want to meet her." "Who is she?" "She's Michael's sister. We'll find her. We owe Michael our lives. I'd do anything for him." In the ward of the home for the disabled, a young woman was sitting in a chair. Her legs were covered with a plaid, a book on her lap, but she wasn't reading. Her gaze was fixed on the windows. Apparently, she was waiting for someone in the gray. There was sadness in her gray, pensive eyes. The door creaked open, and the girl tensed, looking hopefully at the entrant. "Mary, there's someone here to see you," the young nurse said. "Michael?" The patient's pale face lit up with a faint smile, and she immediately revived. "Hurry up. No, there's a strange woman with a child. That's strange." The smile immediately fled from her face. The joy that had flashed in her eyes faded, and the girl immediately lost interest in the nurse. "I'm not waiting for anyone, and I don't want to see anyone. They asked me to take them in. What should I say?" "All right." The young woman shrugged her shoulders. "Let them come in since they came. Let's see what they need from me." The girl disappeared, and a few minutes later there was a knock at the door. Mary was alert. "Hello." A pretty woman appeared on the doorstep. She was holding a child's hand tightly. "Mary, my name is Olivia, and this is my son Brian." "Hello." Surprised to see the visitor, Mary replied. "Do we know each other?" "No." The woman smiled at her. "But I came to thank you." "I don't understand." "Thank me for what?" "For your brother. He saved me and my son." "That sounds like Michael." A sad smile appeared on the young woman's face. "Why hasn't he come himself?" "I've been waiting and waiting for him, and he hasn't come." "Did something happen to him?" "No." Olivia hurried to reassure her. "He's fine. Michael doesn't know we've tracked you down yet. I just wanted to do something to help him. You don't have anyone else besides your brother, do you? I know you find it strange that we're here. Michael will tell you later, but in the meantime, can Brian and I visit you?" "As you wish." Mary looked at the visitors incredulously. "I'm told you're supposed to be going for a walk now." The weather is nice, so I suggest we go out and get some fresh air and get to know each other." Mary thought for a moment, then smiled and nodded in agreement. Olivia popped the stroller outside and walked down the alley deep into the garden. They talked a lot, little Brian walking beside them. With each step, Mary's face grew brighter and calmer.